Hi, everybody. I started Muttville 8 years ago. I'd rescue dogs one at a time and worked and volunteered at shelters, and I would take them home and then find them homes. I do that with the dogs that were considered unadoptable. So there was so much to do, and I was like, I've got to do more. I got the 501c3, started it out of my house, of course. And I learned, if you don't move them out, you can't save another one. Unless you're a hoarder, which many of my friends did think that that might be the next step for me. So how to move them out? With foster homes, of course. I still kept dogs at my house, but now I was able to take in more dogs, as many as I had foster homes for. But of course, the main goal was to get them adopted, right? So I knew how this was done at the shelters I'd volunteered at. There were a lot of people and a lot of steps with a lot of rules about when and where and with whom an animal could leave. I knew these were all intended to protect the animal, but my experience made me doubt whether those good intentions were being met. There was lots of evidence that adding these steps didn't really make for better adoptions. And there was a situation that stood out for me. Before I had started Muttville, I had found a home for one of my great, wonderful dogs named Jordy. And some friends of mine adopted him, Kathy and Mike, and their 2 daughters. And they wanted another dog, and they had found one at a local rescue shelter, actually. And they went through the lengthy process of filling out all the forms. And, you know, they were great dog people and had somehow managed to raise 2 children, but they were turned down for the dog because they both had full-time jobs. Yep. So that taught me something. And, you know, here was a great home, ready to take in a dog that needed a home, and it was an opportunity lost. If you don't move them out, you can't save another one. When I founded Muttville, I didn't have a staff to run a complicated adoption program, so partly out of necessity and a little bit of skepticism for all the rules, I created a simple system. I meet you, you fill out a form, you answer a few friendly questions, and assuming it's the right match, you go home with the dog. But even that system had a bottleneck. Me. Did I really have to meet every single adopter? The fosters taught me that they can and want to do more. They know their dogs, who knows them best. They can answer all the questions. They can market their dogs to their friends, neighbors, co-workers, and they can evaluate the adopter, and they can follow up. And you know what happened? Not only were the dogs kept happy and more adoptable, not only did they get adopted more quickly, and not only did the fosters allow us to rescue a ton more dogs, but the foster families really loved it. We have an amazing record of retaining our foster families. They feel respected and necessary. And mostly they feel very rewarded when their dog finds a great home. We've all been there, seeing that. They're invested in their dogs, and they go out of their way to market them and find them the best home. I've heard over and over again that knowing where their foster dog goes makes all the difference for them, and that's why they love fostering from Muttville. And a little statistic, 11% of our adoptions are failed fosters. But they all continue, most of them actually continue fostering dogs for us even after they've adopted one of their foster dogs. So the conventional rules and the standard process went out the window for us. Our adoption team isn't just a small staff, it is a huge network. We saw that our goal was to find more dogs home, and we didn't need a staff-run process to do it. Okay, so those were the rules about adoptions. There were also rules about dogs. Let me tell you another little story. We had the sweetest little Yorkie. Her name was Tootsie. She'd been really abused and neglected, and she'd had a firecracker blow off part of her face. And of course, when a dog like that comes into our shelter, everybody falls in love with the dog, and everybody really cares. Like, oh my God, this is the sweetest little dog, and she didn't deserve this. And telltale signs of kennel cough. And you know what that means, right? Isolation. Well, we did not want to see this little dog go into an ISO jail cell. What we did was we reached out that day. We had her picture, and we sent out an email to all our volunteers and our foster families, and within 3 hours she was in a foster home. She didn't have to spend 1 minute in a cold ISO cell, I like to call them. And was that foster parent a trained vet? No. She was just an ordinary person like you and me that wanted to help, and she did. We sent Tootsie home with the medications and scheduled vet appointments and all the contact information so that the foster home felt very supported. Did she get better? Yes. She got better more quickly and more comfortably, and she was happier, and she stayed adoptable. So we learned. And today what we do is we send home dogs not only with kennel cough, but we send home dogs that are awaiting most of our medical procedures. To do this, we just developed an online plan, and it's a real system that keeps everybody in touch with each other so that everybody, even the adopters or foster families, feel supported and know that they have all the information that they need for their dog. So that's the bottom line. If you don't move them out, you can't save another one. I know that many of you don't have a chance to start from scratch the way Muttville did. We had the opportunity to improvise, to look at the evidence, and to look at what we wanted to do and figure out how we could do it. And what we discovered was the biggest obstacle to saving more lives was us. Rules about what people needed to sign off on, rules about what dogs could go into what foster. But we simply have to ask ourselves, are our rules and our processes getting us where we want to go? Is this the best thing for the dogs? Can we take a risk and try something new? So even if you don't have that option to start from scratch, you do have the option of looking at your processes and asking if they're helping you achieve the goals of saving lives, or if they're just slowing you down. It's true, change is really hard, and you've got a lot of people to bring along to make any sort of change. So let's say, for example, you'd like to allow your foster parents, I got the buzzer, I got it. Okay, that means I took my time, right? Okay, so say you want to allow your foster parents to complete an off-site adoption on their own. My suggestion is you start out by calling it a pilot program. That way you get buy-in. People feel like it's just a tryout. It's not a for real thing. And during that time, it makes it easier for people to accept, and especially once they start to see some good things happening from it. So I guess if you were to boil it down, it's a simple point. If you don't move them out, you can't save more. And isn't that what we all want? We all want to save more lives.